hope finds you well. Looks like, okay, it says it's got my name on the screen. It's got a black screen, so the camera isn't quite focusing yet. There we go. I'm still a little blurry though. Anytime you want to focus in and give me a nice clear picture, that would be probably the best thing. And now it looks like I'm frozen up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think it's gonna work. I think it's probably about as good as it's gonna get. So today I have to open up for you another Mcfarlane Collector Edition, and you know what that means? That means it's overpriced. but yeah, this is the DC Multiverse, the Joker from Batman. Like, what else is the Joker from? Of course, he's from Batman. I mean, I know they had that Joaquin Phoenix movie that was just called Joker, but certainly isn't Joaquin Phoenix. Is it Jack Nicholson? Kind of, sorta. But yeah, so there he is, the alleged 1989 Jack Nicholson Joker. We're going to get into talking about why this isn't quite a Jack Nicholson Joker, or at least, for legal purposes, this is not Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman. You notice we do not have a photograph of Jack Nicholson on the back. We have a drawing of the Joker, who's kind of vaguely Nicholson-esque, in front of Arkham Asylum, which is a setting that is not seen nor mentioned in the 1989 film Batman, because this is not that version of the Joker. For legal purposes, this is not that version of the Joker, but it's totally that version of the Joker. But I mean, looking over the package, it doesn't, it says Batman, but it doesn't say, Batman in parentheses 1989. So it's not specifically, it could just be the Batman comic book for all we know, right? This is number 57 in the Mcfarlane Collector series. But yeah, you don't see the number 1989 on here anywhere. You don't see an airbrushed Anton First airbrushed Batman emblem like we saw in that poster, that iconic Batman poster. No photographs of Jack Nicholson in his costume and makeup. No mention of the movie whatsoever. Something I did notice when I was looking at this guy yesterday. I'm going to pull him down. Next episode, we're going to have another Joker figure to open up. And I'm not sure when the next episode is going to be, because I don't know if I'm going to do an episode on Sunday or not. But I do have the deluxe theatrical edition of Heath Ledger as the Joker. And something I noticed when I was looking over the box of that is it says 17 plus on there. And it's got this big old label down at the bottom that says collectors age 17 plus. And looking at Bane. Bane is like 12 plus. Does not have that big old label on the bottom there. And then I was thinking, well, I wonder why that is. And I'm pretty sure I figured out why that is. It's because of the guns. Because here's another one that says collectors age 17. I wish I saw the Deathstroke box so I could compare with that. I didn't think to look at it with Deathstroke. But yeah, Blackhawk is also a 17 plus figure. Heath Ledger, 17 plus figure. Jack Nicholson, quote unquote, Jack Nicholson style Joker, 17 plus. Collectors age 17 plus. And it's probably because of the guns. He comes with two guns, and one of them's not even a real gun. Well, probably mostly not a real gun. Well, we'll talk about that when we get into into talking about the accessories. But I think that's their workaround for having the guns in there. I think that Warner Brothers would only allow them to have guns on packages that are labeled to be, adult collectibles for 17 and older. 17 and older, that's an R-rated movie. Like you're not allowed to buy a ticket to an R-rated movie unless you're 17 or older, or you're with someone who's 21 or older. At least that was how we did it at my theater when I worked there. And this is a PG-13 movie. This one isn't based off a PG-13 movie, obviously, because this is not Jack Nicholson as the Joker from 1989's Batman. But, Heath Ledger, he played the Joker in a PG-13 movie. And this is clearly Heath Ledger as the Joker. Got a photograph of Heath Ledger as the Joker on the back there. It says the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight here on the side. Heath Ledger played the Joker in the Dark Knight. This is Heath Ledger as the Joker in Christopher Nolan's film, The Dark Knight. This is not Jack Nicholson in the 1989 Batman movie, directed by Tim Burton. This is not that at all. I mean, it might look kind of somewhat vaguely like that, but for legal purposes, this is not that. But if it was based on Jack Nicholson in his performance as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, if it was that is a PG-13 movie as well. And anyway, let's go ahead and open them up. I don't know who did this artwork on the back, but I do think it's a nice piece of artwork. And it does kind of, like I said, coincidentally, vaguely looks kind of like Jack Nicholson as the Joker, even though this is not at all based on Jack Nicholson as the Joker. This is a completely different interpretation of the character that's clearly based solely on the comic book version of the Joker. So let's go ahead and take this out of the package, and there, I'm going to get a closer look at this face that I would say would be a reasonable likeness of Jack Nicholson as the Joker if it was indeed based on Jack Nicholson as the Joker, but it's not. So let's go ahead and open them up. Get this trading card off of here, and lo and behold, the trading card. This is my favorite way to do this. The trading card is on the same blister as the figure stand, so that means when I can take off the figure stand very easily, and probably won't have to worry about damaging this trading card too much because I've already got the blister started. All right, so there we go. We got that off. Got that classic DC logo on there. Now, again, if this was based off the 1989 motion picture Batman, directed by Tim Burton and starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker, this would be an era-appropriate emblem to have on there. But, of course, this isn't based on that movie at all. Don't get it twisted. It might look vaguely like Jack Nicholson as the Joker, but this is not Jack Nicholson as the Joker. This is a wholly original design of the Joker that just kind of happens to be somewhat slightly inspired by his appearance in the 1989 film Batman, where he was portrayed by Jack Nicholson. All right, so here's the trading card with that same piece of artwork on it. And you see he's got this really long gun, which coincidentally enough, the Joker actually did have a really long gun like this in the 1989 film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, where he was portrayed by Jack Nicholson. But this is not Jack Nicholson. Clearly, this is a drawing of the Joker, a painting of the Joker that's very nice, but doesn't look like Jack Nicholson. And there's what the back of the trading card looks like, and it reads, The Joker, Batman, data file, real name unknown. See, this is definitely not the 1989 version of Batman, because in the 1989 film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, in which the Joker was portrayed by Jack Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's Joker is actually named Jack Napier. We know what the Joker's real name is in that movie. This says the Joker is unknown. So how could the Joker be unknown if we know that he's Jack Napier when he's portrayed by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker? This says he's unknown. So it's clearly not that version of the character. Anyway, I'll keep reading. The Joker possesses what must arguably be the most dangerous criminal mind on the planet, with no moral compass to speak of and a sick sense of humor derived from the joy of witnessing the pain of others. The notorious clown prince of crime is the smiling foil to Batman's grim and serious demeanor. With a reputation as infamous as that of the Dark Knight, the Joker has become a one-man movement in the city of Gotham. In the city of Gotham City. Really, you're gonna let that go like that? In the city of Gotham, or in Gotham City, but in the city of Gotham City. I'm calling the Department of Redundancy Department, and I'm gonna let them know that this is here. So I'm gonna call them on the phone. Anyway, attracting a sea of followers to as he proceeds to indulge in unthinkable crimes that would give even the cruelest career criminal pause. So this is a pretty decent, I think, bio of the Joker, which is not at all specific to the 1989 film Batman, in which the Joker was portrayed by Jack Nicholson, directed by Tim Burton. It's not specifically for that, you know. And in fact, it's got contradictory information in that it tells us that the Joker's real name is unknown. And of course, in the 1989 film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, in which the Joker is portrayed by Jack Nicholson, the Joker's real name is Jack Napier. So his name is known, but this isn't based on that movie at all. No, it might look vaguely like how Jack Nicholson looked in that movie when he portrayed the Joker, but that is a coincidence. This is not Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And probably the reason they decided not to do a figure based on Jack Nicholson as the Joker is because there are just nightmarish rights issues when it comes to Jack Nicholson's likeness. And the main thing, I think, is like, it's not even just that Jack Nicholson wants a lot of money for the use of his likeness. That would be understandable. That would be something where I would be like, hey, just give the man his money. You're using his face, you know, you might as well give him the money. That, you know, his face is his fortune. You know, he's like one of the greatest actors who ever lived. Certainly one of the most popular actors who ever lived. Give the man his due. Give the man his money. Pay him what you owe him. That's fine. But here's the thing about Jack Nicholson's deal as far as his contract and his likeness rights and the royalties that he gets for this movie is, if you use Jack Nicholson's likeness on an action figure, then not only do you owe Jack Nicholson a royalty for every single action figure that's made in his likeness. You know, if this looked like Jack Nicholson, if this had his likeness, and they paid him for his likeness, then not only would they have to pay him royalties for every single Jack Nicholson Joker action figure sold, which, you know, frankly would be fair because it's got his face on it. They share his unique face. Colonel what's his name has chickens and they don't even have mustaches. But yeah, like every single Joker figure, they'd have to give him some money, and that's fair. But here's the thing: every single figure in the entire action figure line, if they use Jack Nicholson's likeness for the Joker, they have to give Jack royalties for every single action figure in the line. Period. That means like, and I'm not sure if that means like every single one from the point where Jack Nicholson is introduced into the line, or if that means like every single figure like beforehand. Now retroactive, that would be even more insane. Retroactively, you would owe Jack Nicholson, like, you know, however, like half a cent, let's say, for every single action figure ever. So for example, this Superman action figure, based on the comic book, you know, you would owe Jack Nicholson, you know, however much money that he's owed for his royalties. This action figure of the Riddler, you know, I love this Riddler action figure. It dropped its cane. I still love him though. You would owe him, you know, however much money we're giving Jack. Like, we got to give it to him retroactively. Now, I don't know if it would work retroactively, but I'm saying like worst case scenario, that would be it. But even best case scenario, like you know, if you had would it apply to figures that are, you know, coming out at this around the same time? Like this guy came out like around the same time. would Jack Nicholson get some money for a Christopher Reeve Superman action figure? And is that really fair? Now, I'd say as far as like, figures of Jack Nicholson made actually like back in like 1989, 1990, when Kenner and Toy Biz were doing their Batman movie action figures, yeah, it probably would have been worth it to give Jack that money. But do you want to do it nowadays? Like back then, like Jack Nicholson was definitely like a big part of the draw as to why the 1989 Batman movie was such a huge hit. And it probably would have been worth it to give Jack, whatever money he had, because you needed to have that Jack Nicholson likeness. Now, Toy Biz did not use a Jack Nicholson likeness when they made their 1989 Batman figures, so I don't think they had to worry about it. But Kenner certainly did use a Jack Nicholson likeness, and I'm not sure how far that extends. You notice that the 1989 Batman series that Kenner made was called The Dark Knight Collection. And when they started doing Batman Returns figures, they changed the name of the line to Batman Returns. So I'm guessing that was done for legal reasons, because they could have just kept calling it The Dark Knight Collection. They used a lot of the same molds for, Batman. It was still the same mold of Batman that they used, even though Batman had a different costume. And they probably should have done a different Batman mold, but they didn't. But yeah, I think that might have been why they decided to drop the Dark Knight Collection label, so they could just call it, Batman Returns, and not have to give Jack Nicholson any money for that line of figures. That wound up causing problems for them for I think like the entire length of the Dark Knight Collection, because they had to give a little more money than they really wanted to. So yeah, and then they did do at least one more Jack Nicholson Joker figure, because around the time that Batman and Robin came out, Kenner did a series of 2-packs that were exclusive to Toys R Us, and those did not have the Batman and Robin label on them, but they did do like I think they were called like collector movie editions or something like that. I don't know. They were separate. They had like a separate branding on them. And they did have a Jack Nicholson Joker figure in that. So, like, did they have to give Jack royalties for the 2-pack with the Riddler and the 2-pack with Catwoman for Batman Returns and Batman Forever? I don't know how that worked, but I'm guessing they probably did. But they probably didn't have to give them royalties for Batman and Robin, because, again, that was kept separate from these figures that I'm talking about. So anyway, I don't really blame Mcfarlane for not wanting to deal with that hassle. So instead of giving us a true Jack Nicholson Joker, we've got this particular version of the character. Now, I'm going to show you something absolutely disgusting real quick. But first I want to read the chats, because I got a couple of chats real quick, because Bobby Wald is here and says, I wonder if it had been Robin Williams. I wonder if it would have been how it would have been if Robin. I'm stumbling over this. I'm sorry. I wonder how it would have been if Robin Williams would have taken the job. Well, that's a good question, because we do have a Robin Williams movie from around that time where they made action figures of it, and Robin Williams' likeness was not used, and that was Hook, which came out around the same time as these movies. And they did not have any of the likeness rights for any of the actors in that movie, I believe. So the Captain Hook figure didn't really look like Dustin Hoffman, but it looked enough like Captain Hook. Nobody cared. But the Peter Pan figure was really weird to me, because it did not look anything like Robin Williams. And the face of it actually, to me, oddly enough, looked a lot more like the Disney version of Peter Pan, which I don't believe they had the rights to. But it looked like it was sculpted to look like kind of a generic Peter Pan, but more like the movie, the Disney movie version of Peter Pan than actually Robin Williams himself. And Bobby Wald says, yeah, that's how they teased Jack Nicholson into accepting the job. That's absolutely correct. They used they used Robin as a bargaining chip, which he did not appreciate, and that's why he was playing hardball when they were trying to get him to play the Riddler in Batman Forever. And he got bad advice from his agent, because his agent told him that, like, oh, of course they're going to pay you whatever kind of money that you want, because you're Robin Williams. Who are they going to get to replace Robin Williams? They forgot about this this kid just starting out that was on In Living Color at the time, and had this Ace Ventura movie coming out. So yeah, they were able to get Jim Carrey for a lot cheaper than they were able to get Robin Williams. So it kind of backfired on them. And then Bobby Wald says, I can't remember where I saw the documentary about it, but the feud between Robin Williams and Disney, when Disney tried to destroy Fern Gully because they had Aladdin coming out, and they only wanted Robin Williams solely on their project and no one else's. Yeah, I hadn't heard too much about the Fern Gully thing. I'll have to look into that. But I do remember that around the time that that Robin did the voice of the genie, he also had a movie coming out called Toys, if you remember that one. And I think the most memorable thing about that was actually the trailer. A really good trailer with just Robin standing in like a field and just being Robin Williams, basically, just riffing and improvising and saying all kinds of crazy Robin Williams type stuff. And like that's probably more memorable than the actual movie, honestly. But yeah, like he had Toys coming out around the same time. And people were expecting that to be like a big, huge hit. And he didn't want to be competing with himself in Aladdin. So, like, he had a lot of stipulations in his contract about how the character the character, the genie, was marketed and used in marketing. And it's one of those things where it's like, Disney, I think, actually did follow these things, like, to the letter. Like I think there was something like the genie could only be on like 20% of the poster or something. And they did only put him on like 20% of the poster, but he's still like placed directly in the center of it. Like they where it's like, yeah, technically, yeah, this is accurate to what I asked of you, but only just barely. Anyway, I've gotten way off on a tangent. It's easy to do that with me, isn't it? And especially when you're talking with me about a subject that, I have, like Robin Williams. I could probably just talk about that dude for hours. But anyway, here's something really disgusting on this figure. I don't know if this is going to come across on the camera, but there's all kinds of grease down literally all the way down the back of this guy's jacket. And I think it's just the kind of lubrication that they use in the joints to try to keep the joints from being too sticky. But there's just all kinds of disgusting grease all down the back of this guy's outfit. And it makes me wish I had some napkins or something around here. I don't see anything. Here's a sock. I'll use the sock. So I just want to get some of this off of the figure. And his hat came off really easily when I took him out of the package. And there's grease on his head. It might be grease on the hat or something. Yeah, it's just gross. It's gross. I don't like it. So I get this grease off. And then I'm going to put the hat back on him, because I want to see him with the hat. And the hat actually does stay on him fairly well. I think it just kind of popped off when I took it out of the package. Bobby Wald says, remember that toy company that turned military hardware drone systems for turned a military hardware drone system for kids to operate, and his sister wound up being a robot like Small Wonder. Yeah, that was another thing about that movie, is for a movie called Toys, they had very few toys made for that movie. I think they had a video game, I think. But yeah, they didn't make any actual toys for the movie, because kind of the point of the movie was like the good wholesome toys are better than these mean old military toys. We don't want to have the violent toys for the kids. But I think they knew that if they made toys based on the movie Toys, kids would have wanted the military toys. Like, I know I would have bought the violent military toys. That would have been the ones I would have wanted. So I think they didn't want to be like hypocritical about it. You know, they didn't want to be like selling all these Arby toys when the theme of the movie was kind of supposed to be like Arby toys bad and, you know, fluffy plush elephants good and that sort of thing. You know, like you can argue as to whether or not violent toys are good or bad for kids. I kind of think actually they're kind of good in a lot of ways. They were good for me anyway. I love G.I. Joe and things like that. So I've got this guy over here, which this is the Jack Nicholson Joker that I actually made. For any of you who haven't seen this before, this is the Jack Nicholson figure that I actually made. And I 3D printed this head. And I actually picked a head that I feel like it's a good likeness of Jack. It's kind of a little more stylized, which is why I picked this one. You can see, for anybody who's familiar with the Kenner figures I was talking about earlier, the Dark Knight collection, this is Sky Escape Joker that I painted this to look like. And the main reason that I did Sky Escape Joker is because I was still holding out hope that Mcfarlane would eventually get around to doing a proper Jack Nicholson Joker, that they would work out the likeness rights and everything. So I'm like, I don't want to put a whole lot of effort into making a movie Joker figure just to have them like the very next week announce they're doing a movie Joker figure finally. So I'm like, well, I'll do Sky Escape Joker because at least then I'll have some kind of Jack Nicholson representation on my shelf. Well, lo and behold, when they made this figure, guess what? They did a platinum edition of him too, and it's based on Sky Escape Joker. But thankfully, since that, like I said, platinum edition, that's going to be hard to get, especially because these sold out almost immediately at pre-order. I don't think I'm probably going to be able to get the platinum edition figure or not. So I don't feel like I wasted my time making this figure. So that was a good choice. Anyway, I think since I had these over here to compare, I kind of suspected maybe they would reuse some of the parts on this figure, but it doesn't look like they did. It looks like the legs are different. It looks like the arms are different. I kind of figured if you're doing a Joker figure, you could probably just reuse some of the Joker parts and it would be fine. You can tell that this Joker is a little more stocky than the Three Jokers Joker. And this is the clown Three Jokers Joker, by the way. But I didn't mind using the skin of your body because, again, it's Sky Escape Joker, and he was on a repurposed superpowers body. So he was already a lot skinnier than Jack Nicholson actually was. Jack's a little more short and stocky than the superpowers Joker. It's very tall and very thin. So Bobby Wald says it would be cool if you can find that color shift paint that goes from flesh tone to white. Yeah, it would have been cool if I could have done that, but I did. I don't have it right now because it's on the other side of the room. But I did make it so that he had an extra head, and you could swap out the heads. So I do have an extra head that's exactly like this one, except for it's got flesh color, kind of a slightly orangish flesh color paint because the Sky Escape Joker, his flesh color wasn't true flesh color. It was kind of slightly orangish. But anyway, before we accidentally start talking about some orange dude that I don't want to talk about on this channel. So interesting thing about this is you see he's got the hat, and he does come with a separate hairpiece, and we will look at the hairpiece. And the way that this hat is sculpted is this one's kind of warped. Is it supposed to look like the pork pie hat that Jack Nicholson wore when he played the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman? But this is not supposed to be the Joker as he appeared in the 1989 feature film Batman. It just coincidentally, he was supposed to have a hat like that. But you can see the way that it got warped in the package, oddly enough. It makes it look almost more like a standard fedora with the way that the brim works. So, and the brim isn't quite, I don't think it's quite as wide as the hat that Jack Nicholson wore when he played the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But that's okay, because this is not supposed to be the Joker as he appeared when he was played by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. This is supposed to be a completely different version of the Joker that just happens to look somewhat like that version of the Joker. And if it was supposed to be Jack Nicholson as the Joker when he appeared in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, I would point out that this jacket that he's wearing is not quite a tailcoat and not quite a trench coat, or an overcoat, I should say. Jack Nicholson didn't wear a trench coat. He wore like an overcoat, like kind of a wool overcoat. But this is kind of, it's not really either one of them. It's kind of somewhere in between. And it would be something that if this was based on the 1989 film Batman, in which Jack Nicholson portrayed the Joker, which was directed by Tim Burton, I would point out how inaccurate that this jacket was. But since it's not supposed to be that version of the Joker as portrayed by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, I've no complaints. I think it's a pretty cool jacket. I think this is a great original design for the Joker's jacket that was never used in any movie before. You will notice that they did a really good job of painting this kind of plaid pattern into his pants, and I'm really impressed with the amount of colors in here. You have purple, you have kind of a dark blue, you have kind of a turquoise kind of color, and then you've got like black lines breaking up the whole thing. Very similar to the checkered pattern that the plaid pants that Jack Nicholson wore when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. It's very similar to those pants, but I would imagine the pattern is not identical. If I was to compare, I'm sure I would find the pattern is not identical because it's not based on that version. And he has very shiny, dark purple shoes, which again look very similar to the dark purple shoes that Jack Nicholson wore when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But that's just a coincidence because it's not based on this version of the character. And he has this long tie, which is painted in this very pearlescent blue, very turquoise sort of blue. And his vest is a very turquoise sort of blue. And you might think to yourself, there might be an extra set of buttons underneath this tie, but I can't seem to pull the tie up. It seems like it's stuck on there pretty good. Now, if there was an extra set of buttons here on this side, I would say that it looked very similar to the vest that was worn by Jack Nicholson when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But of course, I can't pull this tie up, so there's no way of knowing. So I have to assume there's no buttons underneath there, and this is not a double-breasted vest. It's just a single-breasted vest, and we can't quite see the edge of it because it's covered up by this tie. If it was a double-breasted vest, then it would look like Jack Nicholson when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, and we certainly wouldn't want that because that's just a coincidence. For legal purposes, this is not Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman. Now, his hat does come off, and it has a separate hairpiece that we can put on here. And like I said, when we had the hat on there, it does look vaguely enough like Jack Nicholson when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman. But you know, he didn't wear a hat for most of the movie. He only wore a hat in a couple of scenes. So let's see if we can get this hair on here and see what he looks like then. Man. Oh, look at that. Oh my God. Oh my dear sweet Lord. Would you look at that? Now I know when you saw him with the hat that some of you might have thought, I think that figure might actually be based on Jack Nicholson from when he played the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. Some of you might have mistakenly thought that. And of course, like I said, for legal reasons, this is absolutely not that fake. This is absolutely not based on that version of the Joker. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And in case you doubted me when I said that this was not the 1989 Joker from the 1989 Batman motion picture directed by Tim Burton, in which the Joker was portrayed by Jack Nicholson, I think that this hair kind of proves my point. This is not Jack Nicholson's hair, whatsoever, at all. Jack Nicholson, like maybe in the 50s, had a hairline like this. Maybe like I think he had less hair than this when he was in Little Shop of Horrors, if I'm being real about it. And it's like, I'm not making fun of the dude for having a receding hairline. I would be the last guy in the world to make fun of anybody for having a receding hairline. But that is not at all what the Joker looked like in the when he was portrayed by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. Now, can I pop this head off at all? It seems like the head's on here pretty firmly, but I think I can probably get it off. I'm going to try to get it off. Hopefully I can get it off without pulling the neck peg out, because I really hate it when it's a tight fit. But if you did want to use this as I think it works pretty well. Like, the costume is close enough. Like I said, it's pretty darn close. It's not identical, but it's pretty darn close to what the Joker wore when he was portrayed by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But if you wanted a head that looked a little more like Jack Nicholson, you could always get one of these 3D printed heads and pop it on there. Now, you see he's got kind of a giraffe neck thing going on because it's made to fit on this other body. But the other body has like a slightly shorter neck, you see. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's a little bit short. It's not a whole lot shorter, but it's a little bit shorter. But I could print out another one of these and adjust it and make it so it could fit on this one just fine and make a much better likeness of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Bobby Wald says, now you need a telescoping pistol for him. I'm getting to it. He's got accessories. I haven't talked about his accessories yet. I've only talked about 2 of his accessories so far. One of which is the hat with the hair on it, and the other of which is just the hair itself, which is not going to get a whole lot of use in my collection. Man, this is a very rigid plastic compared to how these heads usually are. And in fact, I've actually bent. I don't know if you can see, there's some little white stress marks there. I don't know if it's coming across on the camera, but it's there. I actually kind of bent the barbell trying to get this thing back on here. Let's see. And I don't have my hairdryer in here right now. My hairdryer is still in the kitchen. So I might have to soften that back up with the hairdryer. Come on, just get on there. This is where I could have used some lubrication. If I can get it back on there. There we go. It popped back on there just fine. But like, if you just look at the face of it, now I'm sure this is a coincidence. I'm sure they didn't intend for him to look anything like Jack Nicholson, because this isn't supposed to be Jack Nicholson for the 1989 feature film Batman, in which he played the Joker, which was directed by Tim Burton. But it's close enough, I think. If you really want a Jack Nicholson movie figure, it's close enough. I think it fits okay. But you're definitely going to want to have him displayed with the hat rather than having him displayed with the hair. The hair is no good. The hair is even if this is like a regular Joker, like, I don't know if this is the kind of the hair I'd want to have on a Joker figure. If I was going to try to do something like if I really wanted to do like some not Jack Nicholson hair for the Joker, I think I would have gone for something a little more Brian Bolland. I think I would have done that. So with some curls and everything. I mean, like if we're gonna go in the opposite direction of Jack Nicholson, like steer into the skid and go all the way. You know what I'm saying? So this, unless I do decide to 3D print him a more accurate Jack Nicholson head, but I'm pretty satisfied with this head, at least with the hat on. I kind of feel like that's a good Joker head. That's for me as somebody who wants to use this as a 1989 Joker, even though clearly for legal reasons it's not supposed to be the Joker as seen in the 1989 feature film Batman directed by Tim Burton. I think it's good enough. Impossible Pie says, I decided to pass on it. I don't want to pay a premium McFarlane price for a not Jack figure and buy upgrade heads. Well, yeah, I can certainly understand that perspective. But for me, like I said, I can make my own heads. It's fine. I don't really mind. I'm not even paying premium for it. I already have files for Jack Nicholson heads, so I can just print my own. It's fine. But not everybody has a 3D printer, and not everybody has. Not to toot my own horn. I'm not trying to flex here. Not everybody has the kind of like customizing skills that somebody like me has, where like I can paint something up. Like, see this one that I did. Like, it's a very simple paint job. Again, I was trying to do like basically an upscaled version of the old Kenner one. So I wanted him to have like a very simple sort of just kind of black dots and eyelashes and very, very simple. You know, I could probably do something a little more detailed that more fits a McFarlane figure. And if I wind up doing another head for this, which I might do, I haven't decided yet. Then this one will probably have a more detailed head with like green eyes and irises and all that kind of stuff. Or whatever kind of what color eyes does Jack Nicholson? I think he has brown eyes now that I think about it. So you'll have brown eyes. Bobby Wald says, what are you printing in resin or filament? Yeah, I use filament. I use PLA filament usually. And it works out pretty well for me. Impossible Pie says, oh yeah, if I could print my heads, I would have bought it. But it's to me, this I think with the hat on, I think he looks close enough. I think it looks close enough to Jack Nicholson. It's not like an exact likeness. And not only is it not like an exact likeness, but like I think most people wouldn't be able to pick up on this sort of thing, but I can pick up on this sort of thing because I've tried to draw and paint and sculpt this version of the character several times. So I'm very familiar with the quirks of the makeup. It's not exactly Nick Dudeman's prosthetics. It's not 100%. Again, it's close enough. I kind of feel like it looks enough like it. Like if I put this on my shelf, anybody who wouldn't know any better, like I think like most laymen, you know, people who have seen the movie, even people who are familiar with the movie, who have seen it many times, I think would probably look at it and be like, oh yeah, there's Jack Nicholson, it's the Joker. They probably wouldn't notice the little subtleties that I'm picking up on when I look at it. Bobby Wald says that's pretty good for filament. I didn't see any of the layer lines. Yeah, like I did a lot of sanding, and there's little tricks you can do with like putty and things like that. Like what you can do is I use this Bondo stuff, and I think it's called contour putty. It comes in a tube. You can find it in the automotive section. It's kind of reddish. And what you can do is you take that and you mix it with some acetone, and you kind of paint over, use a little paintbrush and use that to paint over whatever it is, and it'll fill in those little grooves. And you know, sometimes you have more grooves than other times. It just kind of depends on how smooth of a print you can get out of it. Like I got the Jor-El head here, and there's all kinds of grooves. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but you can hear them. There's all kinds of grooves on that. But yeah, you can do that to kind of fill in some of those and sand it and that kind of thing. And this is honestly like one of the smoother paint jobs that I could do with this. Impossible Pie asked, are you going to do a Jack Napier head? Well, I did for this one have an alternate flesh color. I don't have it over here with me right now, but I do actually have an alternate flesh colored head that I can swap out onto this figure. So it does not quite a Jack Napier head, but it does kind of simulate the color change that the original figure had, where you could dip his head in the cold water and then his face was kind of orangish. So let's go ahead, and before I get into talking about the rest of the accessories other than the hair and the hat, talk about the articulation. So the Joker can look up about that far. He can look up about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders. Man, that's really loose. Probably because all the greasy lube that was in there. Like he's just this arm is like super loose. I mean, it's not loose enough that it's gonna like fall back down too. I mean, it's gonna fall down a little bit because it's pressing into the jacket. But yeah, it does kind of ratchet here. The arms move up to the side. Do I want to try to move it any further than that? It seems like it's about that far. Move up to the side about that far. But you can hear that ratcheting, I'm pretty sure, over YouTube even. Man, this still all this grease on here. It's oil all over him. He's so oily. He does have a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. The Joker has double jointed elbows, which that's about as good as I can get that elbow to look like right now. But you can see like it's not fully bent in. One of these, the upper part of the elbow wants to move a little bit easier than the lower part of the elbow. Let's see if I can get a better one out of this side. Yeah, see, that's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Pretty good there. The Joker has the cool... Oh, there went Jor-El. The Joker has the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation, so it rotates all the way around where the wrist meets the hand and where the wrist meets the forearm. So you can get all kinds of cool poses out of that. Get that move around any which way you want to. So that's pretty cool. You can see he's got the little bit of orange shirt sleeve painted in there. There's no white in the at the wrists. They could have done a thing where like maybe they made the wrist joints white so you can see a little bit of his skin through there, but they did not do that. I'm pretty sure that the Joker has just like not really an ab piece in the middle here. That's what it seems like to me. There's really no need for an ab piece. And his pants go up pretty high. Now, if this was based on Jack Nicholson when he portrayed the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, then his vest would actually sit a little bit higher also on the torso, and the pants would come up a bit higher too. And so that would be an inaccuracy that I would point out if this was an action figure of Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But since this is not supposed to be that version of the Joker, I'm not going to complain about it. Impossible Pie says does he scale well with the Mcfarlane 1989 Batman? I hope Mcfarlane does an updated 1989 Batman with a neck like Batman Returns. I absolutely agree with you that the Batman Returns figure is superior in that regard. And in fact, when I went to grab I was already anticipating this. When I went to grab a Keaton Batman figure, I actually picked the Batman Returns figure for that purpose. So you can see, and they use a lot of the same parts. So you can see that this is about how well they scale together. So they're about the same height, not counting the bat ears. So I'm not sure how accurate that is to real life, because I know in real life, Michael Keaton is only like 5'7", I think. He's not the tallest dude. And I'm not sure how tall Jack Nicholson is. Let's look that up real quick. Jack Nicholson height. He's 5'10". So he's a couple inches taller than Keaton. But that's fine. The Joker, I think, is supposed to be a little bit taller than Batman, so that works. I know that also Adam West, when he played Batman, Adam West was like 6'2", and I believe that Cesar Romero is like 6'6". He was enormous. So he was much taller than than his Batman. But yeah, I'd say that's probably about accurate enough. I don't know. I kind of feel like if you want a Batman that's truly accurate to Michael Keaton's height, the old NECA 1989 Batman is a little shorter than this one. I think that this one is taller than the Adam West Batman, and that should not be, because, like I said, Adam West would have been much taller than Michael Keaton. Most Batman actors are at least 6 feet, and I think Keaton was like the shortest of all the Batman actors, but he was still one of the best Batman actors. It's like, it doesn't really matter how tall he is. He still works. So anyway, I was talking about the articulation. So he does rotate all the way around the waist, and you can get there's really good range of motion here at the waist, so you can get all kinds of crazy poses out of him. Like, him dancing around like a maniac or whatever, when he's at the art museum. And man, that would have been a good alternate head to have too, wouldn't it? With the flesh colored face paint and the beret and everything. I'll have to make an extra head for that. But of course, it wouldn't make any sense to have that with this version of the Joker, because this is not an action figure of Jack Nicholson as the Joker from the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. So why would they want to have a head that recreates that famous scene from the 1989 Batman film directed by Tim Burton, in which the Joker was portrayed by Jack Nicholson? Because this is clearly not that version of the character. Impossible Pie asks, does Mcfarlane need the likeness rights to get the Joker's henchmen? Cool if he could do them all. Well, I think he would need to get the rights to do the Joker's henchmen, because you want these guys to get paid for their likeness. I mean, that's fair. I'm not saying that Jack Nicholson shouldn't get paid for his likeness. I believe he probably should have, if this was an action figure of Jack Nicholson from the movie Batman, in which he portrayed the Joker, which was directed by Tim Burton. If this was that version, then Jack Nicholson totally should get money. But I think the real problem isn't necessarily giving Jack the exorbitant amount of money that he would want for his likeness on this figure. Like I said, I think the problem is that Jack Nicholson's contract is too good. And I talked about this earlier in the episode. It's too good in that not only would they have to give royalties to Jack for every Joker figure made, but just every figure in the line. And I don't even know, like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of the contract, but if it's a strong enough contract, it might even be the sort of thing where it's like, not only, from the royalties from the point where they make the Jack Nicholson figure, but would they have to retroactively go back and pay them for all the figures in the DC Multiverse line? That does not seem fair to me. And it was a lot more fair in 1989, like I said, when, say, Kenner is just doing a line of Batman figures based solely on the 1989 movie. That does kind of make sense to me. And even then, like I said, Kenner stopped doing the Dark Knight collection once they started doing Batman Returns figures and just did a Batman Returns line, probably so they wouldn't have to give Jack Nicholson any more money. But I don't think that, say, Tracy Walter, who played Bob the Goon, he's the only henchman I can remember, the actor's name. Most of them were probably stuntmen, honestly. But I can't imagine that, he commands anywhere near the amount of money that Jack Nicholson would just for his likeness alone. And you certainly wouldn't have to pay Tracy Walter, X amount of money for every DC action figure sold after that in that line. That would, he doesn't have that kind of clout. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk smack about Tracy Walter, who is a very talented character actor. Even if he wasn't Bob the Goon, there's still plenty of other reasons for me to be a fan of Tracy Walter. Let me put it that way. But yeah, I think they could. It's probably not so hard to get the likeness rights to. Like I said, they were able to get Michael Keaton's likeness rights. They were able to get Danny DeVito's, Michelle Pfeiffer's, Christopher Walken. They were able to get his rights for Max Shrek, and like Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones, Chris O'Donnell, Alicia Silverstone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. If there's an actor that played a Batman villain that's bigger than Jack Nicholson, like Schwarzenegger would be it, right? And they got his they were able to do him. So it's because he doesn't have that kind of crazy deal that Jack had. And frankly, Jack was worth it. At the time, it was definitely worth it. Like I said, back in 1989, you absolutely had to have a Jack Nicholson Joker figure. I think that's part of why Kenner's Batman line was so much more successful than Toy Biz, is because they had a Joker that looked like Jack Nicholson and a Batman that looked like Michael Keaton, and a Bruce Wayne that looked like Michael Keaton. But yeah, I think they could probably get the rights to the henchman actors. I think that wouldn't be a problem. The question is would they? I don't even know if they've got time left to do it at this point. But would they even want to? Do they think those would sell well enough? I'll tell you what. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I would buy every single character from the 1989 Batman movie if they made them. I would buy Commissioner Gordon. I'd buy Harvey Dent. I'd buy the guy that the Joker kills with the joy buzzer. I'd buy the guy that he kills with the quill pen in the throat. I would buy the freaking newscasters. I'd buy the supermodels Candy Walker and Amanda Keeler. Wouldn't it be great to have like a box set with the Joker and the whole background with the fake beach and the cardboard cutouts of Candy and Amanda after they've been Jokerized? Vicky Vale, absolutely. Alexander Knox. I would buy, like I said before, Bob the Cartoonist, which was originally supposed to be Bob Kane's cameo and wasn't able to do it because of scheduling reasons. So he had a ghost do his cameo. Bob Kane didn't even show up for his own cameo. He got a ghost to do that too. Vicky Vale, Vicky Vale. I would buy an action figure of Prince in the Bat Dance music video where he's half Joker and half Batman, that outfit. I would buy an action figure. I'd buy an action figure of Prince anyway. I'd buy an action figure of Prince from like Purple Rain. Like I'd buy an action figure of Prince from Under the Cherry Moon. Impossible High says, I'm sure Mcfarlane will do the 1989 Batwing. That would be really cool. That would actually be really, really cool. I know he did the Flash Batwing, and I didn't get that one, but I might consider getting a 1989 Batwing if he made one. That would be really cool. I would like that. So I do love the 1989 Batwing. That's probably my favorite version of the Batplane in general. But it wasn't called the Batwing when I was a kid. It was called the Batplane, and I guess they thought that wasn't cool enough, so they started calling it the Batwing. But honestly, I kind of feel like that redesign kind of warranted. That was when it truly the idea of actually making it look like the Batman emblem was just so freaking brilliant. So anyway, I talked about. I haven't finished talking about the articulation on this guy. So he's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And you notice that it's not, oh my God, the joints aren't painted. Now this figure's horrible. 0 out of 10 stars. Do not recommend. I'm not gonna be that picky about that. Of course, honestly, even if they did paint that in, it'd probably wind up getting, scratched off. It is kind of funny to me that they use the same color plastic that they used on his arms, and there's so many colors, like I said, on these pants, but I don't even think that color purple matches up to the color of purple that they used on the pants, funny enough. Let's see, The Joker's foot can point down about that far and point up about that far, which is not great range of motion. But I mean, like, he's got these pants legs that kind of get in the way. So what do you expect? And it does have that cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation, but I think with the pants legs, it's just kind of hinder that somewhat. But you can get these are I think about as good as you can get the articulation to be with pants legs like this. All right, so now we're finally done talking about the articulation. Let's move on to those accessories. Where does he get those wonderful toys? Well, the Joker has plenty of wonderful toys himself. Maybe not quite as wonderful as Batman. Well, let's go ahead and talk about these accessories. And they do have some accessories that are coincidentally enough kind of reminiscent of things that he had in the 1989 Batman movie directed by Tim Burton, in which the Joker was portrayed by Jack Nicholson. But this is not that version of the Joker, so it's just a coincidence. So first of all, we have, get this out of the way first, this megaphone, which is molded in a very bright orange plastic. I think it's actually painted orange, so it might not be molded in orange plastic. And it is kind of a soft, pliable plastic, which made it a little difficult for me to get the handle into his hand. But there he is with the megaphone, so he can be shouting orders at his henchmen over the megaphone. And it's a very bright orange, just like the movie. So we'll go ahead and set that aside for now. And then the Joker comes with this cane. It's got a little warped in the package, unfortunately. And of course, the Joker did have a cane in several scenes in the movie. A little walking stick. I think can kind of put his that looks nice, doesn't it? That's a nice pose there. So there we go. All right. And that's not the end of it. He's got some extra hands. Let's talk about these extra hands for a minute. So we have some kind of gesturing sort of hands, kind of spread out like this. So that's nice. And we've got two solid fists, so he can punch Batman right in the stomach, even though he's wearing body armor. So that was not the wisest move, Joker, I gotta say. I would have liked it if the Joker had been able to put up a little bit more of a fight at the end of the movie. It did seem like kind of a one-sided fight. You would think that the Joker, being, especially since this version is like a mob enforcer kind of character before he became the Joker, he'd be a little more tough in a fist fight, even against Batman, who in this version is supposed to be, very trained in martial arts, and he's wearing body armor. I would think the Joker would put up a little bit more of a fight. So Bobby Wald was saying he should have a telescoping pistol. Well, guess what? He does have a super long pistol, which is funny because I don't remember the Joker ever having a weapon like this in the comic book. And this is clearly not based on the 1989 movie version of the Joker, directed by Tim Burton, starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman. But he does have a really long pistol like he had in that movie. It's kind of an odd coincidence. Kind of I wonder if they knew that the Joker used a gun like this in the movie when they decided to pack one in with this figure. Maybe they just didn't know. I don't know. So, but anyway, you might remember that the Joker in the 1989 Batman movie directed by Tim Burton, in which he was portrayed by Jack Nicholson, at one point does, as Bobby Wald noted, it's a telescoping gun. He squeezes down the barrel, and then I'm guessing with some sleight of hand, swaps out his gun for this one with the bang flag, because it goes from a gun that's strong enough to shoot down the Batwing to a bang flag. So it's probably not the same gun. I don't think it's. I'm willing to buy the telescoping barrel. That at least worked in a comic book sort of reality, which this movie is. And I still say that the 1989 Batman movie is the one that, there's some that are technically better, but I think of all the Batman movies, let's see. I guess you were typing that when I was putting it in his hand. But of all the Batman movies, I do feel like the 1989 Batman movie is the one that gets the tone exactly right. Now you could argue as to which one is better on a technical level, like maybe one of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, or some people might even argue that the Robert Pattinson one is the best. I don't know why anybody would, but some people would argue that Robert Pattinson one is the best one. I know a lot of people are big fans of the Ben Affleck Batman. I'm a big fan of the Ben Affleck Batman. I got him back there on my wall. He's definitely one of my favorites. My top three in no particular order is Adam West, Michael Keaton, and Ben Affleck. And it's like, I think I like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck kind of on a par with each other. I think they're both kind of equally great. Well, yeah, like I said, you were I think you were probably typing that when I was putting it in his hand. So like sometimes it's like typing is slow, and it's like I'm like the slowest typist in the entire world. So the struggle is real for me. But yeah, they did manage to give him like a really good assortment of accessories that, coincidentally enough, they mirror the accessories that were used by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, in which Jack Nicholson played the Joker. Coincidentally enough, a lot of those accessories are kind of there's no bang on this side. Okay, that's it. 0 out of 10 stars. This is the worst action figure of the Joker ever made. Do not recommend. That's I'm not going to nitpick that hard. But yeah, he's got the bang flag on this side. But without you, I just wouldn't want to go on. Can we actually get the I think it's a little too long for me to really get him into that kind of pose. And you see I'm kind of cheating here. It's not in his hand all the way. But yeah, so there's that. So anyway, that's pretty much it, I think, for this figure. Now, I would definitely recommend this figure for anybody who wants to complete their Batman movie line. And yeah, I'm gonna say it. It's not 100% as accurate as it could have been if they actually wanted to give Jack all of the money that they were gonna make for the rest of the line. I kind of feel like this is close enough. Like it. And again, this is the Batman Returns version, but I got a close enough Joker. I might as well have a close enough Batman. But you can see they look good together. They work together really well, I think. So would I recommend him, even though he's not like 100%? Yeah, I'd say he's about 98%. At least if you have the hat on, I think he's about 98%. I think most people are not quite as particular about this sort of thing as I am. Most people are not as detail oriented and focused on certain minor details on this version of the character as I would be for various reasons. But I kind of feel like, at least for me, this one's close enough. This one scratches the itch. It might not be it might not be 100%, but it's at least 98%, and that's good. I've seen, honestly, worse likenesses of characters, even in the Mcfarlane Multiverse line. I've seen worse likenesses of certain actors, and like, to me, that looks enough like Jack. With the hat on, it looks enough like Jack. With the hair, completely different story. If you want a Joker without a hat, you're gonna have to get an alternate head. Look on eBay and see if you can find one, or if you got a 3D printer, you can print one out yourself. Bobby Wald says you need to swing by a store and pick up some birthday balloons in cartoon shapes and pose that Spin Master Batwing, nab all the Joker, and the Joker shooting it. Yeah, see, like that sort of thing. That'd be fun. But yeah, definitely I'm gonna have some Prince music playing in the background when I put my picture of this guy up on Instagram. but yeah, he's a good figure. He's a really good general comic book style Joker figure that just happens to kind of coincidentally resemble Jack Nicholson in the role of the Joker as he portrayed the character in the 1989 film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. This does look kind of vaguely like that version of the character, and it does have that kind of problem that Mcfarlane figures tend to have, where the plastic that they use on the hands is very rigid, and the accessories are not quite as rigid. So then you have a hard time. I always say this about McFarlane figures, that they tend to make the plastic for the weapons more pliable than the plastic for the hands. And that doesn't work very well when you're trying to actually put the accessories into their hands. They've been doing these figures for like so long now, and you would think that they would have found a way around that. So I'm going to put the Bang flag in his hand. That's going to be how, and I'm going to put it in his left hand, so that way I can have the Bang portion of it facing out. That's going to be the thumbnail right there. So anyway, that's it for our not Jack Nicholson Joker that's not from the 1989 film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the other fun stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about this particular version of the Joker. And if this one is, if you agree with me that this one's close enough. It's not 100%, but it's 98%, and that's good enough for me. If you're not tired of hearing me talk about the Joker yet, I will talk about the Joker some more in my next episode, which I'm going to open up this guy. Heath Ledger is the Joker. So we'll be talking about a completely different version of this character. And that should be a lot of fun. I've been wanting the Heath Ledger Joker figure for a while, so I'm really happy that they re-released him, and I got a chance to pick him up, and I got a chance to pick up Bane, and I'm really excited to talk about both of those figures on upcoming episodes. So I'm not sure when the next episode is going to be, so I'm not sure if I'm doing an episode on Sunday, because I might not. I might be doing something else, but probably if not tomorrow, then next week at some point. Then we'll open up the Joker and Bane, and at some point I want to get onto those Clawful figures that I have from Masters of the Universe, and we got just a bunch more DC stuff to open up. So we'll have lots of cool stuff coming up in the future. So make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. When they hear me say like and subscribe, they push that out there into the algorithm, and then more people see these videos. And when they see them and they hear me say like and subscribe, they're more likely to like and subscribe, and then more people see that's how YouTube likes to do things. So leave a comment below. I like it when you leave comments after the show is over. I like having people in the chat, and I like when people leave comments after the show is over. So please make sure that you leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this particular figure and just the Joker in general. And if you made it all the way through this video, leave a comment letting me know what were some of your favorite scenes or bits or lines or anything that Jack Nicholson had when he played the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton, even though this is not a figure of Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the 1989 feature film Batman, directed by Tim Burton. But let me know what you think anyway of his performance in that movie. And that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Bye.